This Tyrannosaurus Rex is being chased by humans, because they think he is very dangerous. Until one day, meteors began to fall from the sky. Humans plead with this Tyrannosaurus Rex to help them. From that day on, he became a servant of humanity. So a few years later, he helped humans build the pyramids. But humans keep arguing about whether the top is round or square. In the end, the pyramid was destroyed. So his next job is guarding gold in a lovely castle. But he and his friends fell asleep while working. Let some robbers sneak in secretly. Before the robbers could take away all the treasures, he turned one of the robbers into ashes. The second day, he was transferred to work for Jurassic Park. He wants to be a monster to scare a man who is defecating. No matter how he roars. I was fired because I didn't show enough anger. So he lost his sanity. Start destroying things here with his dinosaur friends. At this moment, the girl took out the curtains as a skirt. When she started waltzing against the broom, the master's voice came and urged her to help quickly. She quickly threw down the curtains and rushed over. Two people were shouting and screaming at her, even almost knocked her down to the ground. After finishing all the household chores, he lay on the table and started crying. At this moment, an elf flew out. I saw her waving her stick, turning mice into pumpkin carts, and transformed the girl into a gorgeous dress and a pair of crystal shoes, and guided her to the castle to attend the ball. The girl danced a waltz with the prince as she wished. Those two masters didn't even recognize them. It's almost 12 o'clock. The girl is anxiously trying to escape. I don't want the prince to see a bad side. However, one of her crystal shoes fell off while escaping. The girl came to the carriage and prepared to escape. At this moment, the magic disappeared. The carriage turned back into a mouse. Fortunately, it was not discovered. However, the dog placed its hand on its head and looked at the officer with a silly and cute expression. Seeing the dog so clever, the officer not only did not drive him away, but also asked the man to take good care of him. So, not only did the dog get food, but it also found a place to sleep, and finally it didn't have to wander anymore. The next day, with the sound of a gong, the dog immediately woke up the man, trained with the soldiers, and ran 10 kilometers off-road. When the man fell off the balance beam, the dog ran to encourage him to climb out of the iron net first. With the outbreak of war, the men's troops are about to rush to the front line for support. The dog may have sensed that the man was about to leave and crawled into his backpack, hoping that the man would take him away. However, the man couldn't bear to let the dog be homeless again, so he tied it to a post and watched the man's back leave. The dog felt that the man didn't want him anymore, and he was so angry that he desperately bit through the rope, smelled the scent of Xiao Shui, and chased after him all the way. This man hates being white. The others in the elevator were all colored, and he was the only one who was white. Even his girlfriend is colored. He doesn't know why this happened. When he learned that his wife was pregnant that day, he was both happy and sad, because he doesn't want his child to be born white like him. He attempted to jump from a high altitude, hit the red sandbag hard, use needles, and turn red in the sun, even tattooed with a red heart. But it doesn't seem to be of much use to him. He also tried psychotherapy, but even the therapist told him that he would always be white. He became very depressed. He came to the bar trying to cover himself up with the colorful bars. However, he still couldn't accept that he was white, even considering jumping off the bridge. At this moment, he received a call from the hospital. When his wife handed him the baby, his biggest concern is that something has happened. The baby is white. He hugged the baby and apologized. The next second, the baby turns into bright colors. This color spreads throughout the man's entire body. If you are also unique, please subscribe. The man walked up to a venomous snake. Surprisingly, he cast a spell and turned it into a pair of boots. Then, he turned an elephant into a piano. When he felt bored, he even dumped oil drums and garbage into the sea. He also caught dozens of tons of seafood, but even so, he was still not satisfied, even shot and killed Mama Bear, still imprisoning the baby bear in a cage, force it to perform. Then, with a gentle wave of his hand, he turned a large tree into paper, and danced joyfully in it. Tall buildings were built in the farmland, let the exhaust of cars diffuse throughout the world. Not only that, he also established his own processing plant, produce inferior beef and pork. He used a syringe to cast magic on the rabbit, transformed them into various shapes. When he arrived at the foot of a mountain, he was completely unaware of the dangerous nuclear waste scattered there. He not only does not reflect on his actions, but also puts on the crown and enjoys everything alone. At this moment, the old wolf revealed his charming smile. He almost scared his other colleagues to death. This old wolf wants to find an easy job, so he dressed up as a dog and came to the flock of sheep. Do you think the old wolf would go eat sheep? Arriving at the office desk, he hid his beloved tools, then start busy work. Just then, the ewe walked over. Remind him it's time for lunch. The ewe handed him a can of dog food. He was initially disgusted, but after taking a bite, he fell in love. Slowly, he became proficient in his work, became the best employee of the company. After getting rich, I also bought the lamb's favorite vegetarian dishes. Share your joy. The wolf who was working that day was hungry, but he was surprised to find that his dog food had already been eaten up. At this moment, a tempting fragrance wafted from the distance. It turns out that the lamb has been scalded all along. The old wolf couldn't bear it anymore and prepared to escape. Suddenly, a group of lambs entered the elevator. A little lamb accidentally knocked over a bottle of tomato sauce. The old wolf smiled in the next second. This little elf hates herself very much, because its hands will die whenever they touch something. Sleeping birds and hunting wolves. But on this day, it encountered a beautiful old deer. It really can't bear to take action against it. It looked into the eyes of the old deer. Just as it hesitated, the old deer turned around and left. It immediately followed up, and realized that this old deer still has a family to rely on. So it didn't directly take action, but silently accompanying them. It has countless opportunities to strike, but they all chose to give up. When it rains, provide shelter for the old deer. At night, they look at the stars together. In the blink of an eye, winter has arrived and their relationship with each other has become incredibly close. New sprouts have grown in the snow, and spring has arrived as promised, and the life of the old deer has also come to an end. It trembled and turned back to look at the little elf. I hope the little elf can personally send it on its final journey. The little elf understood its meaning. Reluctantly embracing the old deer, it gently placed the old deer on the ground, silently accompanying it until nightfall. If your most important person is still around, subscribe. This tree branch person is focused on running. Suddenly, a small dog rushed towards it. Obviously, it was mistaken for an interesting toy. The little dog excitedly picked up the tree branch and ran towards a group of children. The tree branch man immediately closed his eyes tightly and disguised himself as an ordinary tree branch. At this moment, the security guard grabbed the tree branch and warned the boy to walk his dog with a leash. It has regained its freedom once again, but soon, its fate took a new turn. A girl picked it up and first used it as a tool to float it into the water. Then he threw it out like a boomerang. Subsequently, it was mistaken for a match by someone. It thought it was going to die. The next second, a cry for help woke it up from fear. Surprisingly, Santa Claus was stuck in the chimney and unable to escape. Santa Claus is grateful and invites him to participate in the gift-giving task together. Just as they were about to set off, the sled slipped down from the snowy mountain. Suddenly, the girl is writing. The next second, a strange noise came from behind. He turned around and saw a very strange rag doll placed in the store. The girl walked up and was stunned. This doll is so similar to her. Suddenly, the doll disappeared without a trace. The girl was suddenly a little surprised. Then he kept searching for the traces left by the doll through the glass. As I was about to turn around and leave, as a result, the door automatically opened. Just as the little boy wanted to go over and check on the doll, accidentally kicked a small puppet riding a bicycle, so he quickly helped it up. But the little puppet quickly rushed towards the door after getting up. Fortunately, the gate was closed in time. However, as soon as he stood up, the rag doll disappeared again. The boy searched around and found a promising doll in the cabinet. He was very excited and climbed up the sofa as soon as he touched the doll. Something strange happened as a result. Next second, mothers in this area will be pushed off a cliff by their sons when they reach the age of 50. The man looked towards the distant cliff and then walked into the room to start tidying up, but the mother dared not speak. Because I happen to be 50 years old today. The man couldn't bring a rope to fix his mother on the chair, prepare to carry her off the cliff. At this moment, the mother intentionally left the pillow on the ground. I want my son to help him pick it up. At night, Mike lit a bonfire in the wilderness and ate the skin of dry food. Leave the meat inside for my mother. But she angrily turns her head to one side. Men are sleeping. The hungry mother secretly ate the meat filling. Finally arrived at the bottom of the cliff. The man hesitated for a moment. Reaching out, he began to climb, with a bottomless abyss beneath his feet. Just as Mike was about to climb to the top of the cliff, the violent shaking almost caused the man to fall. In fact, she intentionally made herself heavier, just to spend a moment with my son. Do you love your mother?
The elf saw an old man about to hang himself. He immediately stopped and said that this method of death was too inconspicuous in order to find a unique way to change the elderly's mind. So he took the old man to the Eiffel Tower. The old man was very afraid of heights, so he tightly held onto the tower and refused to let go. The elf god realized that this was not a suitable place, so they took the old man to the North Pole again. The piercing cold wind instantly froze the old man. But this fear did not last long. Elves planned bolder adventures. The elf took him to the sea and then to hell. The old man was frightened by his own experiences. Finally, death brought him to the railway tracks. The old man tried to escape, but was stopped by the elf. The train is already very close. The old man shouted that he didn't want to die. The next second, he returned to his own home. After experiencing this journey, the old man finally untied the rope around his neck, expressing the determination to continue living to the elves. Then he picked up his briefcase and went to work. And at this moment, the elf also revealed its true identity. It turned out to be a beautiful angel. If you like this story, please subscribe to the channel and like it.
This man is preparing to look for cigarettes. Just as he turned around, he almost collided with an approaching vehicle. Fortunately, timely braking prevented the accident. Unfortunately, in his panic, he accidentally swallowed the cigarette into his stomach. Then, when he wanted to catch up with that car theory, but I found no one in the car. After careful examination, he realized that that's just an old man playing the harmonica. Later, he noticed that the old man was holding a box of cigarettes in his hand. He approached to request one, but the old man rudely responded with his middle finger and then drove away. At this moment, a truck suddenly drove towards him, forcing him to urgently turn the steering wheel. As a result, it accidentally collided with a roadside billboard. At the rest stop, he finally found the last box of cigarettes in the vending machine. He put in $10, but didn't expect the coin to get stuck. In a fit of anger, he kicked the vending machine, but his foot got stuck instead. The machine kept hitting his feet. Just as he struggled desperately, he caught a glimpse of the old man driving past and cast a mocking glance at him. In anger, he struggled to break free from his restraints and quickly chased after him. This time, the old man decided to park and challenged him. him. In the next second, this man has bound up his own shadow, attempting to bind in shape, because in this world, the bigger the shadow, the higher your status will be. That day, a man participates in a job interview, but when he sat down and started talking, the boss asked him to be quiet. Just need to stand in one place with other employees. At that moment, 2 bright lights came on. It captured everyone's shadow. Due to his small shadow compared to others, the boss asked him to leave, while others were mocking him. He is very frustrated. At this moment, he accidentally stumbled upon a room. The people inside are changing their shadows, so he decided to devote himself to making his shadow as perfect as possible. But even with all these changes, he still hasn't been hired. Suddenly, he saw a man named Keith with a huge shadow. He immediately chased after him, and after catching up, he hit the other party. Then he put it on as if the shadow was his own. At this moment, paper classmates were scared. He has to walk through a corridor with hundreds of scissors every day. Finally, he saw a group of papers on the other side. But these papers turned out to be bullies, starting to attack him. They pushed him down, then picked him up and beat him up. Just then, a pair of scissors named Jack walked over. It easily scared away those papers. He helped the small piece of paper stand up. From then on, they became good friends. But when they got off the school bus and started walking home, they suddenly saw 2 big stones bullying a smaller stone. Because they are stones, even scissors are afraid of them. At that moment, the paper remembered who it was. They easily scared them away. Then he helped Little Stone carry his backpack. This made Little Stone no longer afraid of paper, and he laughed. Xiaoxi also called out Jack, who was hiding nearby and afraid. When the scissors still walked towards the stone with fear in their hearts, Little Stone gave him a flower as a gift of friendship. So, do you support the behavior of paper? The man suddenly grew a beard on his face. The man quickly grabbed a razor and shaved off his beard. But as soon as I finished shaving, my beard grew back immediately. Moreover, a strange strand of black hair appeared on top of his head. The man was Shakita and wanted to return to his original handsome appearance. But once you press the large red mole on your forehead, the gold will also disappear. But in order to find a girlfriend in the future, the man still pressed the big red mole. Soon everything returned to its original state. Even a girlfriend without gold can run away. So he raised his arm again. I touched my red bumps. A pile of gold suddenly appeared. He kept pressing the mole. Soon the room was filled with gold. The next second, a bigger red mole grew on his head. The man immediately pressed it. Suddenly, the gold in the room disappeared in an instant. However, the disappearance of gold caused great pain to men. Next second, after the collision between the blue square and the red square, something magical happened. The other small squares turned yellow upon seeing them. Surrounded by it, like watching aliens, they also joined hands. Next second, the streets are filled with yellow blocks. The classroom is no longer limited to rigid knowledge transmission, but rather a more three-dimensional design pattern. The road is no longer entirely white. Everyone is wearing bright clothes. Like a celebrity, it brings youthful vitality to the entire city. Some blocks came up with a clever idea and turned into red, green, and yellow. They arrived on the chaotic streets and turned into traffic signals. Soon, the once congested streets became orderly. These colored blocks come together, jump up in an orderly manner. We will stir up a golden ocean amidst the sparkling laughter like diamonds. At this moment, a block suddenly collapsed to the ground. The other blocks will immediately send out health signals. The ambulance quickly received the signal. They quickly turn into red and blue squares. Upon hearing the alarm, everyone consciously made way for them. The red and blue squares quickly approach it. They place their hands on the black square and gather the energy of the crowd. The black blocks turned into yellow blocks, and they happily clustered together. At this moment, the girl sneezed during a blind date, but what she didn't expect was that her dentures flew out. The man was stunned. At this moment, the waiter walked over with water in his hand, but I didn't notice the dentures on the ground. Stepping on it with one foot, I instantly lost my balance, splashed water on the girl's face. The makeup on the girl's face immediately faded. She revealed her dark circles under her eyes. The girl feels terrible. She turned around to leave, but this man stopped her. Tell her there are some things that need to be concealed. He grabbed his hair and pulled it off. He revealed his bald head. The girl was shocked. But when she calmed down, the girl revealed the vegetable leaves on her teeth. So do you think she succeeded in her blind date?
This man spent $100 to buy a drop of water. The town hasn't rained for 5 years because of a girl's curse. On this day, the girl's most beloved flower is about to wither. She took out the last bottle of water from the insurance. When she was about to deliver the flowers, accidentally knocked down by a stone on the ground. But the flowers of new love slowly wither away. The shaking faucet that girls bend on. Pray for miracles to happen. At this moment, a drop of water flowed out and turned into an elf. The elf angrily told her that her selfishness led to the current outcome. Girl begs for a way to end this terrible situation quickly. The elf came to the clearing and summoned a rainbow. They passed through the rain of springs and the rain of knives and forks all the way and finally arrived before God. The girl played 100 sad pieces of music on the violin to please God. At this moment, I saw God shed a tear. The girl is full of hope, so I found the onion and cut it into slices. God's tears are streaming down from being smoked. Not long after, it turned into a small river and flooded the palace. A girl carrying a small umbrella followed the rain to the mortal world. This man has a strange illness. Only when others laugh can he survive. He was performing on the road for 2 hours, but no one finds it funny. When he felt hopeless, a boy finally laughed. This also gave him hope. When he wants to thank forward, the boy was suddenly kidnapped by a group of puppets. The man rushed to save him, but he found that no matter how much he injured these puppets, they can all recover quickly. Just then, a woman appeared. She summoned one of her puppets, easily defeated those attackers. She turned out to be a follower of the boy. The boy ran towards the man, but the woman mistook him for an enemy. This led to a fierce struggle between them, but accidentally injured the boy. Finally, the two of them decided to join forces and take the boy to the hospital for treatment. But just as they were about to leave, another trouble has arisen.